In this example, we're going to look at the preparation of closing entries from a worksheet. So what you have here in front of you are the debit and credit columns of the income statement from a worksheet. So remember, on a worksheet you have 5 sets of columns, so you have 10 columns. The first set are your debit and credits for your adjusting entry or for your trial balance. Then you have your adjustments, then your adjusted trial balance, then your income statement, and then your balance sheet columns. So this is just a small snapshot of what that would look like from the income statement columns only. So all the information you need to prepare the first 3 closing entries you can obtain from these 2 columns on the worksheet. Okay, so I've moved this so we can take a look at this is the same information. So step 1, remember we close our revenue accounts. So there's step 1. Okay, so it has a credit currently, so in order to close it we would debit the repair revenue and then credit the income summary. In step 2, we close all of our expense accounts. So you'll notice I put the 2 by the total amount because all of our expense accounts have a debit balance. So we're going to credit all of those accounts in the journal entry and the debit income summary for their total, which in this case is the $26,840. So by using the worksheet, you also eliminate any calculation errors because it's already been calculated for you. And then in step 3, we close the balance of our income summary account, which in this case is going to be the net income because we had more revenue than we had expenses. So in step 3, we will debit our income summary account for the $9,020 and credit our capital account. So those are the 3 steps and how you can find those directly on the worksheet. So moving back to the problem, let's actually prepare those journal entries. So in step 1, we said we're going to close our revenue account. So in closing the revenue account, we're going to debit revenue, repair revenue, for the amount of $35,860, and then we're going to credit our income summary account for the same amount. In step 2, we're going to close all of our expense accounts, which we will do with a credit balance. So we will debit income summary for the sum of all of those, which again is already added up for us, so $26,840. Then I'm going to credit all of my expense accounts in the order they're listed up here: wages, rent, supplies. So I have my wages expense, which is $13,260. Then I'm going to have my rent expense, which is $2,800. And then after rent expense, I have supplies expense. And the amount in my supplies expense is $6,390. Then I'm going to close my insurance expense for $1,370. And then I'm going to close my depreciation expense for $3,020. So if you were to add all these up, they should equal to $26,840 because we've already done that on the worksheet. Okay, step 3, we close the amount in our income summary account, which in this case it is a net income. So we will debit our income summary account and credit or increase our capital account for the amount of $9,020. A good way to remember step 3, whether you're going to debit or credit, is if you're increasing your capital with a net income, capital increases with a credit. If you're decreasing your capital with a net loss, capital decreases with a debit. Then step 4, close our drawing accounts, which you can still find on the worksheet, but it would be in the balance sheet columns, and it just tells us up here that the owner withdrew $7,000. So I'm going to debit my capital account for $7,000 and credit my drawing account for $7,000. And you have now completed all 4 steps of the closing process by taking the information directly from the worksheet.